understood what the engine could do. I understood the realm of real time, but I had no idea how easy it would be to actually iterate in storytelling setup. And one day I got this box in my office, and it turned out to be an Emmy, and it was like fantastic. And I was shocked. I'm like, what is this? I mean, right now we are in such a explosive time when it comes to AI. It's humans who inhabit the world, and we are going to figure out how to make it work for our benefit as opposed to not against us.
Arturo, hello. Let me just plug you in.
Hello.
Hey,
I
Arturo,
see that
how's
you
it
are
going?
all like branded with your Unreal Engine.
Look at this.
Yes, look at that. That's fantastic.
There we go.
Yes, amazing.
How's your day going, Arturo? How's
So far so good. I have my coffee here, ready to go.
Brilliant.
Thank you for the invite. This is fantastic. I love
Pleasure.
speaking out on everything that has to do with storytelling or virtual production. Yes. I mean, I'm born and raised in Mexico City. I've been living in New York for about 15 years or so. I started my career in Mexico City as a 3D animator and like real-time graphic artist. But back then it was for broadcast, so real-time graphics meant virtual sets and like augmented reality and things like that. And that led me in my career to move to the US and work with different networks. The latest one being NBC, in which I was leading their 3D animation department and their real-time graphics department. And after a few years in corporate America, I decided to venture to the wild and open my own studio, like about 6 years now. Thanks, life.
Which is called?
KeexFrame. Usually people pronounce it KeexFrame because it was a bad choice of words. It's a Mayan word that means like inspiration. So, but it's the proper way of pronouncing it is KeexFrame. Since then, we got like more and more curious about Unreal Engine, and last year we went through 2 different fellowships with them. Now we are like Unreal authorized partners, which is like a great thing for us.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Thank you. So we have a close relationship with Epic, luckily, and all that. But we always try to keep creating our own projects, like all the members of the studio. We try to keep doing our own things, and that's how it led to some of the projects that we've seen.
Also, about shadow sculpting. And as soon as I saw that, it reminded me of a BBC TV series called Dracula. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, yeah. I saw the billboard, right?
Exactly, yeah. The billboard with the stakes and then the light that casts the shadow.
It started as a hobby. I got so obsessed with it, but there was a piece missing. And the piece that was missing was that I wanted not to be like kind of rubbish creating the shadow, not to be like an amorphous thing, but to be like an actual sculpture creating the shadow. And I set it to me as a challenge. I was like, let me see if I can achieve this. And luckily it happened. And that's when I changed the name to call it like dual sculpting, because it's one sculpture that is physical and you can see its shape. When the light is off, it tells you one story, but when you turn on the light, like the story, it's different. It even it completes it, or it like contradicts it, or something that has to do with this duality of light and shadow.
But yeah, let us know how that goes, because
thank you.
As soon as you show me the work, it's beautiful, and I'd love to see more in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, the fellowship, your experience with storytelling with Unreal Engine. And this is a project that you spent around 5 weeks on the Unreal Fellowship.
Yeah. So when I was invited to the fellowship, I was a bit nervous and intimidated, because when you see the list of people that are in the fellowship, you're like, oh my God, the imposter syndrome comes in, and like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is amazing people, and which I still respect the amazing talent that went there. I wanted to come up with like an idea, but you don't know the topic until they gave it to you. I waited, said, okay, let's see what the topic is. And it came out to be duality, which is something that,
really?
as I just mentioned, for me, it's something like that I'm always thinking about. So it was perfect for me. I said like, well, you have to act like really quickly, because you have only like 1 week to deliver the script. So I took it to more of a personal side, which the inspiration came from the process of therapy, right? Like when you are, I got late to the therapy world. I started like my mid 30s or something like that. And I decided to take it to that. And one of the things that was important to me was to raise awareness that it's never late to heal your wounds. That's how the story came. Let's see if that somehow confronts with her past.
Was this your first time using Unreal Engine to create a short story?
Yes, it was my first time. I mean, it was not my first time using Unreal. As I said, we use it mostly for live performances, but it was my first time, for example, using Sequencer. It was my first time like creating an actual animatic out of this, which is ironically now it's one of our daily works, right? And it became now our daily work. But it is it's a fantastic tool. I understood what the engine could do. I understood the realm of real time, but I had no idea how easy it would be to actually iterate in the storytelling setup. I forced myself to, let's think actually consciously about each shot and what's the message that I'm trying to give in each shot, which you don't get to do that much in broadcast. So I was like, oh, that's fantastic.
Well, it really shows like, the choice of shots, the storytelling, and that brings me on to sort of, your experience with the whole, cinematography, storytelling, shot composition. Does that lend itself from your experience just in broadcasting in general?
I mean, in my role as creative director, I had to think in a cinematic way all the time. Even if we were creating like a 15-second opener for a show or something like that, it became a little bit of our mantra and our style. With the year, you started understanding what people will react well to, which type of shots, and so on. And so I use that, but I've never done it before, so I guess it came out okay.
Yeah, it really has. It definitely caught our eye.
So as part of the fellowship, they give you access to mocap, to like a mocap session with an actor. But I decided to donate my time to some of the other fellows, and I used my own extensions to do the capture. So basically, everything that is like motion there, I acted it myself. I had to channel my medieval female side and come up with like this side of it. And most of the animation, the base of the animation is mocap for the body. But then I had to do a lot of keyframing just to, not only clean up, but also enhance the performance.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I'm in my living room. I couldn't just do what
jump on a horse.
Exactly.
What was you using was the mocap on the horse as well, or was you straddling a chair? How did you get that?
No, well, actually, the animation of the horse, I found something in the marketplace that was a rider going. So I took that and then I broke it, the skeleton. So I just did the top part mocap, and all the lower was from a clip on the marketplace. And then for the face, that was an interesting process because I was so all into mocap and we can do it in mocap. And so I built myself this facial mocap rig, and I got the new iPhone and everything, and I was capturing my face. And I realized very quickly that it was not going to get me where I wanted. You can feel the machine struggling to like solve the blend shapes, and all the performance goes to hell, right?
Right.
So then I decided all the facial animation is KeexFrame. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. Every single piece of facial animation, I decided to use just the panel from the Metahuman and just KeexFrame everything. I am one of these animators that truly like to spend like hours in like moving the little expression. I don't mind doing that. There are people like throw the keyboard and run. Like for me, I was like, okay, I'll do it, and I spent hours just like trying to get the right expression.
Yeah,
and I found it very, very easy to animate and to iterate. This is like, it actually gives you all the tools that you need.
That's fascinating to know that you've hand keyed the facial performance. Also, how do you what's your thoughts on metahumans and how are they to work with as characters?
It's funny because I got the transition between the old metahumans, in which were like more limited to the new metahumans, in which you could do like mesh to metahuman, and you could do like other things in which you could optimize them way more. So the first character, the adult, is in the old metahumans. So, and then the girl, the young girl, is in the new metahumans. So then all the adult stuff is in Unreal Engine 4, and then just the part of the girl is on Unreal Engine 5. Right? Which is it was literally they were switching while we were in the fellowship. It was in that month. So then
the crossover from 4 to 5.
The metahuman when they announced the new metahuman.
Sure.
And Epic, that was the last fellowship that was during Unreal Engine 4. I mean, about the metahumans, to be honest, I think it's an unbelievable technology. I think it's fantastic. Of course, it has its flaws. Of course, it has its moments in which it's difficult to get to something realistic. But I think that with the proper amount of iteration and with the proper amount of patience, you can get the results that are amazing.
Yeah. Talking about sort of planning the shots and the story, storyboards, and was you sort of previous in, and how did you go about planning the story?
No storyboards. So
it kind of leads me on to, did you enjoy using Unreal Engine and discover shots in there like, whoa, this would look cool, that looks cool?
I created this Excel sheet, literally, in which I was counting my shots in my head and just more or less timing them. I went through the 3 acts with the shots in my head. So I had the idea of the photography that I wanted prior, and I listed all the shots and I counted them, and it came out to be 47 shots in my head. And then when I got to the engine, I just started following those, and it turned out to be 48 shots. in Unreal. But the funny thing is that once I was in the engine, of course I discovered new angles, or I refined new angles, but it was a lot pre-planned in my head, and that's how it came. Like it was all built inside the engine and all figured out inside the engine.
Is there anything that you would do differently?
I would have done a few things differently. I would have done it in Unreal Engine 5.
Okay. Do you have any other sort of projects after you worked on the fellowship that you were planning on potentially doing as a passion personal project? Yeah.
I'm working right now in another short film. I like video games, for example, and I love playing some good video games. And I'm always impressed about how immersive in the story they are, right? Like, and how you actually feel that you are inside that world and you feel that you are part of the story. And there must be a way of bringing that into the regular storytelling, the passive storytelling. And so this short film that I'm working on right now, it's attempting to bridge that gap.
Exciting stuff. Well, all the best. I'm sure we'll catch back up and maybe do part 2 on that in the future. I'd love to see that for sure, Arturo. What about advice for a first-time filmmaker moving into or starting out in Unreal Engine? Have you got any advice?
Yeah. I would say jump into the engine.
Don't fail me now.
And that sounds very generic, but I don't wait until you know the engine in order to start creating. It's better to jump into it because there is an aha moment when you actually realize how flexible and how easy it can become. Put a camera in your own terms with your regular. Imagine that you're having a physical camera and start playing with it and see what you can do. because it's very easy you will lose the fear of fucking it up.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and then you will start realizing that you can actually tell a story very quickly without understanding all the software. Like I'm sure that a lot of people go online and they Google Unreal Engine tutorial and they're faced with like blueprints and C++ and millions and millions of options, and they're like, nah, I'm not touching this.
Yeah,
It's
too
not
much
for me. Exactly.
Yeah, we spoke to somebody recently about their journey and experience with Unreal Engine for the first time, like doing fight sequences, because he was a choreographer. He reversed it round to knowing his end goal and saying, I want to make a short story in Unreal Engine with motion capture and a fight sequence. So then he worked his way backwards of like, so I need to do this. How do I do this? I'll look online. I'll learn this, and goes backwards. So he didn't go onto the first tutorial and get overwhelmed with how in-depth Unreal Engine and technical it can be, because like you just said, it can put you off, and it could put fear into the user and go, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, one other thing that I would say that it would be like a best advice is, instead of going to the tutorials, join the discussion groups. Like join the forums, join the Discord, the Unreal Slackers, and there's so many different Discord channels. I bet you that there's going to be a lot of people that have gone through official training and say, I'll help you. I'll help you get started. I'll help you where you need to look. So yeah, reach out as opposed to trying to figure out on your own.
Yeah, definitely a great piece of advice, Arthur. Thank you. When you mentioned earlier about video game and cinema and film merging together for that ultimate storytelling experience, what's your favourite?
I mean, I have to say that this might be a very popular answer, but yeah, The Last of Us is fantastic. It's one of the best experiences that I've had in terms of storytelling is through a video game. And Demon Souls, it's another game that I got really into, and not so much for the storytelling as to the challenge and how the obsession of getting all the goodies you can get.
Yeah.
So the reason why I mentioned that one is because I think that there's also very valuable there as well. Like this effect of wanting to become better at the game, right? Which the Souls games, that's what they encourage you to do. Like just getting to this universe, understand their language, understand how they work, understand their universe, and try to get better at it. So I would say the two last video games that I played that affected me that way was those two, like Last of Us and Demon Souls.
Are you by any chance watching the TV show?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. If you're a fan of the game, you can't miss the TV show.
Yes, I am, and I'm excited for it because I actually replayed The Last of Us recently, both parts. When I knew that the series was coming, I said, like, I'm gonna get ready. So I did it again, and so I'm like, wait, I know what's gonna happen, and like, I don't know if you played it before.
Well, I have played the video games, but not entirely. I haven't finished the whole of the video game series, so it's partly a surprise for me at certain points through this season. So very excited either way.
Incredible show. It's a fantastic piece of storytelling. It's like really, really, really well thought out.
Am I correct in saying you've won an award, an Emmy?
Yeah, true. I got an Emmy for Innovator for doing real-time camera tracking for tennis. That was for the U.S. Open, one of the U.S. Opens. And so it got the attention of the community, and then I suddenly one day I didn't know about it, and one day I got this box in my office, and it turned out to be an Emmy, and it was like fantastic. And I was shocked. I'm like, what is this? What is this box? And then I opened it. It was an Emmy, and wow, fantastic. And then you got the certificates and all that.
Oh man, congratulations!
Thank you very much.
That's great, man. That's brilliant. So yeah, let's chat about your involvement with projects with CG TV presenters.
I we wanted to challenge the technology first, right? We said like, are we there yet that we can actually combine all the technologies? As you know, like broadcast is very technical, like extremely technical, because it's not only the factor of making it work with tracking and all these things, but it also has to be live and has to be bulletproof. So we got to a point in which we had in live interacting with a human, like a CG character, and interacting in a way that it was not only it was not uncomfortable, which is the most common thing. Like the main presentation was in a network in Mexico City. I think that they were the only ones who wanted to take the risk at that time. This was like actually it was 2019 and 2019, and so they wanted to take that risk and say like, okay, let's try it out, and yeah, the results were great. We had to leave apart that side of the exploration because of the pandemic, because then the pandemic happened and then we couldn't go to studios anymore and all that stuff. So then we had to hold a little bit that project, but where we got, and I think that we are moving in now to streaming and characters for streaming, and yeah, it's something that is always in my mind, and we're still working on that on the side.
The live avatars, the characters, the streaming. Where do you see that going? And it's very exciting. I mean, super cool, and I'm well into this stuff. Where do you see it going in the future with CG and characters? I
think first there's going to be an uncomfortable moment in which no one's going to be happy about either how they look, the avatars, and who they are in the entertainment. Little by little, it's going to start getting normalized. And then once that happens, then it's going to be very powerful, because they're going to get combined with the ability of interacting with them in a level that you cannot interact with a human, which is going to open a different realm of entertainment, which I don't think we have really tapped into. But it's going to be a lot to do with interactivity. I think that we are still trying to emulate the human form with these virtual avatars, which is uncomfortable because you cannot compare it to a real human, right? And I don't think we are there yet, and I don't think we'll be there soon, in that you can actually compare it to the experience of talking to a human. Maybe we are going to start seeing way more stylized characters in the next few years as opposed to humans, because it is we have to create that distinction, right? Like if there is this pendulum effect in which, we can almost emulate humans. Let's do all humans, and everyone's doing humans. And I think the pendulum is gonna come back, and then we're gonna say like, oh, you know what? Maybe humans is not their realm. Let's try to do more stylistic or other things that they have their own space.
Old movies like Brazil, Blade Runner. Will AI ever become human? Will it ever feel like a human? That whole comparison.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now we are in such a explosive time when it comes to AI, right? Everything that is happening with artstation and like all these things that have been happening around the art generators with AI, and even ChatGPT and everything that is happening right now with that. And so again, it's a new tool that is disrupting. So people are more and more uncomfortable with it. But I think little by little it's going to be finding its way in our realm. I mean, at the end, it's humans who inhabit the world, and we are going to figure out how to make it work for our benefit as opposed to not against us.
Any advice for work-life balance?
Life first, right? It is very important that if your life is not in order, let's put it that way. I mean, no one's life is in order, but you know what I mean. You cannot get the thoughts for inspiration for your other side, especially for artists, right? Like if you are, something is in your head, like you use it as part of inspiration, even if it's a conflict or something like that. So trying to figure out that you're getting the best in your personal life. Maybe it's conflict. Maybe you like having conflict in order to get inspired. Whatever it's that drives you, just figure that out so then you can get enough drive into your creative and professional life.
Yeah, that is so true. And just going on to what you says about conflict, life inspiration, and use that as a drive, that kind of goes back to where we started on this episode with the idea for your Unreal Engine story.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has been driving some of the projects after that. We did this opener for the World Cup, which is also based in Unreal. And it also it was for the World Cup, so it was like how I feel about soccer and what was my own interpretation about soccer, right? And so it was, it's like that side, that personal interpretation of a thing driving your professional life. I think that's the right direction and not the opposite, right? Like not let your professional life drive your personal. I think it's the other way around.
Thank you so much for your time to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's as you say, like the hour flew by, and thank you very, very much. I hope we get to meet in person someday.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Absolutely, I would love that.
Yeah. Let me know if you're in New York, and I'll let you know. And absolutely, thank you very, very much.
Brilliant, Arturo. All the best. Have a great rest of your day. Awesome,
absolutely,
man. Absolutely amazing to meet you. Thank you so much, and take care.
Take care.
Bye, man.